And what is going on, everyone? And welcome to this very special Wednesday edition of Houston Texans football on the Bleacher Report Network. Make sure you guys have all downloaded the new Bleacher Report app. I am one part of your show, Ruben Calvillo, dropping daily Houston Texans content on my YouTube channel. Just type in 713 Houston Sportcast. My co-host drops Texans content, but also drops Astros and Rockets as well at TheLead_Houston. Harley Dugan, my guy, what's going on?
I'm doing well, man. Feeling a little under the weather today, but we're gonna power through. We're swarming over here, man. We're doing our thing.
Yeah, we're swarming. It's going to be a very fun 30 minutes. We want to shout out Bleach Report allowing us to come on here, talk Houston Texans football. A big shout out to the man upstairs. The topic of today: did the Houston Texans get better as the dust settles for the offseason? Free agency has come to an end. We have already, have the NFL draft come and go. The Houston Texans, though, Harley, they made a signing today. They re-signed defensive tackle Folorunso Fatukasi. He started for the Houston Texans last year, had some good moments, went out due to injury. Very dominant against the run.
Mm.
Good in terms of was able to put pressure on the quarterback. Not really a sack guy, right? More of a, you know, I'm here to stop one thing, and that is the run. I like the fact that the Houston Texans brought Folo back, and I would think he might be competing for one of the starting defensive tackle spots.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you right there. I think all of us was basically talking about trying that the Texans were in some sort of capacity going to bring Fatukasi back. So it's good news to hear. Any of the non-Houstonian fans are probably like, Texans grabbed a nobody, but honestly, he was very, very much a factor for you last year. The defensive tackle room is getting a whole lot better because of it, and he's great against the run, and that is something that you didn't address too much in the draft nor free agency.
Uh-huh.
Fatukasi was the guy we kept going, man. If they're going to bring him back, are they going to bring him back? When we heard he had the injury, then all of our immediate responses were, okay, well, maybe the Houston Texans bring him back as long as his injury gets better. It did. They bring him back, and we're happy to have him.
Mm. Yeah, 100%. And we could stay with the defense here because, believe it or not, Harley, this Houston Texans defense got better in the offseason. I'm looking at the secondary here and seeing the work that was done in the cornerback room. Derek Stingley was made a long-term Houston Texan, was made the highest paid cornerback in the NFL. The Houston Texans made a trade for CJ Gardner Johnson, one of the best safeties in the NFL. All they sent was a 6th-round pick and guard Kenyon Green. They drafted for the secondary as well. Jalen Reed and Jalen Smith at a USC and Penn State. Harley, it's hard also making Jalen Petrie the highest paid nickel cornerback in the NFL. This secondary, they lost Eric Murray. He goes to Jacksonville on an insane contract. But this secondary, dude, it got better in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought the defense would have got better?
Mm,
Like, we were all saying, okay, this is what the Texans need to do this offseason. And the game plan was fix the offensive line, fix the offense. And the majority of it was offense, offense, offense.
uh-huh.
And the Houston Texans, with one of the best defenses in football last year, about a top 10, maybe top 5 defense, went into this year and improved it. They got, like you mentioned, CJ Gardner Johnson, and they brought back Fatukasi. They've, brought in Darrell Taylor, somebody that
Uh-huh.
almost had 10 sacks for the Seahawks 2 years ago, so, and he's in a backup role. This Texans team, the secondary just got a whole lot better. You got a year two of Lassiter, year two of Kalen Bullock.
Mm.
You brought in Super Bowl experience with CJ Gardner Johnson. You got Jimmy Ward more as a backup role now, which to me could help him
Fantastic.
maybe go into a few more years of his career because, as we know, he was getting hurt constantly. But since he's not going to be getting as many snaps, we could see him on the field maybe a little bit longer than we should. Who knows? But I do know when Jimmy Ward is on that football field, he plays his heart out,
Yep.
despite injuring some of our players. But I that crash out that he is, as well as the rest of the secondary, improving the D line still. The linebacker room, adding an EJ Speed, very underrated piece to the linebacker room, getting a healthy Christian Harris back
Yeah.
this year. This defense has all of a sudden, if they are not in legitimate talks for top 3 defense in the NFL next year, hell, the hot take for me is that they're the best defense in football going into 2026.
No, I said that as well in my video yesterday. When I was talking about the secondary, I was saying, man, I could see, 15 and 18 interceptions between this unit. We're going to have a ball hawking secondary. It's going to be very hard to throw, man, against us. And, when you look at the linebacker unit, the only addition is EJ Speed, and he can give you some work in special teams. Harley, I think your top 3 linebackers to start off training camp are Aziz Al-Shaair, coming off of a fantastic year 1, Henry Tuatuo, an insane jump in year 2. If he takes another jump in year 3, we're talking about a Pro Bowl linebacker. And then Christian Harris, if he is healthy. I see you smiling. What's going on?
No, not just laughing at one of the group chats I'm in. It was pretty funny. We have a fun AFC South chat, man. Where you
How
know,
many of those are we in now?
oh my goodness. But we have a fun one, man, and I love it. I love trash talking. I like the crap talking. I like it. And hearing what the rest of the AFC South has to say about the Houston Texans always gets a smile on my face.
No, but yeah, talking about the linebacker unit, I think they're going to be fantastic. I think EJ
Mhm.
Speed might contend for a spot, but I don't think it's it's secured. And then moving on to the defensive line, you brought up Darrell Taylor, 10
Mhm.
sacks 2 years ago for the Seattle Seahawks, and he's in a backup role. The Texans also brought back Derek Barnett, and he's had a 5+ sack season for the Houston
Yeah.
Texans. Had 2 big defensive touchdowns, and then you add, your 2 guys. Daniil Hunter got extended in this offseason, and Will Anderson Jr. entering year 3. Harley, I think this Houston Texans defense is going to have 2 players that should be in consideration for Defensive Player of the Year, and that is Will Anderson Jr. and Derek Stingley.
That is legit, actually. I don't think that's wild to say either. I just think that's how deep this defense is. That's how much talent you have on this defense as well. And I'm glad to hear that because Will Anderson, I mean, he was making his steps last year as well, too. He also, he also was doing his thing even before the injury. He had a little minor injury that he still played through and was still dominating folks. So Will Anderson going into year 3 is going to be fun to watch. Derek Stingley, and after the extension, as we all know, Derek Stingley is a head down and just work kind of guy. He does not look at his name for the limelight or anything, but he does want recognition. I do know that. So the Houston Texans got themselves 2 guys right there. And you got Daniel Hunter's always going to be in the mix because he's going to get the sack numbers. And so those are 3 legitimate guys that are going to be in at the very least, top 10 defensive player of the year conversations. Like they're going to be in that top 10 list. Stingley, I think, unless the teams just start not throwing his way anymore, because for some reason they continue to throw his way, and I had no clue why. But if Stingley, if he's going to get up there for Defensive Player of the Year, the teams better continue to throw his way because he'll make them pay and get those interceptions. Will Anderson might have a word in that though because he's going to be getting them sacks as well too. So, man, like I said, the defense is. We can go on and on about the defense.
No, 100%. And it's going to be one of the best units. And of course, it's led by head coach D'Amico Ryans. And he is only going to get better as he enters year 3 of head coach of this team. So it's hard to believe, but yes, the Houston Texans defense did indeed get better, ladies and gentlemen. What When I look at this offense, and this is the big question, is did the offense get better? And we start with the O line Harley because, like we talked about, out goes Laramie, out goes Kenyon Green, Shaq Mason, and in comes in a wave of offensive linemen: Trent Brown, Cam Robinson, Ed Ingram, Lakin Tomlinson. The Houston Texans in the second round selected tackle Ariante Ursery out of Minnesota. Alongside that, they have a new offensive line coach in Cole Popovich. Did this offensive line get better?
Mm, that's a tough one. Because if you're looking at it on paper, you're just looking at a bunch of guys that the Texans added for competition purposes, and not a lot of them have any sort of clout to the name. Not a lot of them bring anything to this team. Um, and so on paper, you would assume, okay, sure, Laramie Tunsil's gone. You know, you got an offensive line that now without LT, anybody, any fan outside of Houston, even inside of Houston, would say that the offensive line got worse. But considering you got rid of Chris Strausser, considering you got rid of Bobby Slowick, and how Bobby Slowick was very detrimental to the offensive line this previous year, Chris Strausser obviously did no favors there either. A guy that was on the verge of retirement played this year thinking about retirement. So he already had 1 foot in, 1 foot out the door. And now you've gotten two guys in Nick Caley and Cole Popovich that you think,
Uh-huh.
can improve this offensive line. There's a lot of wishful thinking. There's a lot of hope. And there's a few twigs, and that's about it. But we'll see.
Yeah.
If you tell me right now, like on paper, no, they didn't get better. Laramie Tunsil is a very heavy in terms of really good left tackle, despite what we want to say. But I don't know what Nick Caley and Cole Popovich can bring to this Texans team. And I feel like the level of preparation is going to be so much greater than last year
Mhm.
that then you can sway me to saying that they did improve. But until they show it on the football field, I'm not going to go there yet.
I would say even, when with Laramie Tunsil being on last year's offensive line, based on how they played, I can't say that the offensive line got worse, which is
Mhm.
why I can also say that they got better. I'm just like you. It's wait and see. And we're going to find out very soon, ladies and gentlemen, if the Houston Texan offensive line is going, is figuring itself out, and that's as early as week 1. Now the schedule does come out in what I think 2 weeks, and me and Harley will be on Bleacher Report for that, breaking it down for you guys. But all eyes will be on the offensive line. It's going to be the talk of the remainder of the off season, all throughout training camp. Who are the best 5 offensive linemen is what we're going to be discussing. So I'll give this, like I don't know, Harley. I just this remains to be seen on the offensive line. Now, when you look at the wide receiving core, out goes Stephon Diggs. I don't want to say out goes Tank Dell because he is a Houston Texan, and we knew going into the season that he was not going to be a part of this wide receiving core. He's not going to be playing. I would say with the additions of Braxton Berrios, Justin Simmons, Jalen Noel, Jaden Higgins, your 2 wide receivers from Iowa State. Jaden Higgins taking the second round, Jalen Noel taking the third round, that your wide receiving core got better. And when you look at the future of your wide receiving core, you are very excited because we've already discussed this. Noel and Higgins are going to be with CJ Stroud during the prime of his NFL career. So I think your wide receiver core got better. And, the guy that I haven't even mentioned yet, Your veteran Christian Kirk, when healthy, was dynamic for the Jacksonville Jaguars. There are a lot of mouths to feed in that wide receiver room, and I cannot remember the last time I said that.
It's so I'll phrase it like this because I'm getting somewhere here. But it was tough to me for me to say, man, yeah, Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs last year, and your wide receiver room got better.
Mhm.
But to phrase it like that is to say this, it did get better because not only did we already mention Bobby Slowick gone, because Bobby Slowick didn't know how to utilize Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, and Tank Dell. He didn't. He
Mhm.
had Tank Dell used as a gadget guy for the first 4 weeks of the season. And it wasn't until Nico Collins got a little banged up and then Diggs ended up getting hurt that we got to see Tank a little bit more utilized like he traditionally was as a rookie. And we saw a few games here and there where we were like, oh, that's the Tank Dell I remember. So the wide receiver room, despite losing Stephon Diggs, even though he only played, 6 games here, excuse me, the rest of the wide receiver room did get better. You added 2 rookies and Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, both of them the top 2 wide receivers in at least the top 7 or top 10, whoever you're talking to when it comes to the NFL draft
Mhm.
this previous few weeks ago. You got Christian Kirk, like you just mentioned. Those are 4 receivers right there, along with Nico Collins. 4 wide receivers. You've added more competition in the room with Braxton Berrios, Justin Watson. You have Xavier Hutchinson. You have John Mechie. You're going to figure out who is going to be one of the guys there. It doesn't really matter to me, though, because right now you are going to be playing with at least 4 wide receivers right there. You hope that Tank Dell becomes not obviously not thing this year, but if next year Tank Dell can come back
Mhm.
and he's rocking and rolling, and you can move on from Christian Kirk possibly, who knows there, but the NFL better not hope that because then if you got Tank Dell coming back with Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins and Nico Collins, you have 2 legitimate guys that can pop the top off of defense and 2 guys on the outside and Nico Collins and Jaden Higgins. And not like Nico Collins ain't no stranger to popping the top off the
No.
defense either. And Higgins is a body blow guy that's going to get you for the 5 to 7 to 10 to 12, 15 yards, and he's going to pop the top off the defense every once in a while too. So this Texans, again, the wide receiver room to me did get better, and I think it's because you added 2 rookies and as well as a new OC and Nick Caley.
Yeah, and then those veterans at the end who could also give you some
Mm.
help in the special teams. And plus, Justin Watson has that playoff experience, dude. When you brought up having, Jalen Noel, Jaden Higgins, Tank Dell, and Nico Collins potentially on the field at the same time, I think the first time we see that, we're gonna say, "Wow, this is the future of the Houston Texan offense. This group right here." Moving on to the tight end group, Harley, I think they got better with the addition. And, there was only 2 additions, one of them in the 7th round, Luke Lacey, your tight end out of Iowa. But we all know that, that Iowa is, tight end U. So great tight ends have come out of Iowa. But also the addition of new OC Nick Caley is why I also think this tight end room takes a step forward. At the Los Angeles Rams, was a tight ends coach and also a pass game coordinator, but his majority of time with the New England Patriots was a tight ends coach. And we heard Coach Gruden say that what you like about a tight ends coach running your offense is he has to know both the run and the pass. I think the tight end room got better. What do you think, Harley?
I'm right there with you, actually. Um, well. I'll say that because you did hire a former tight ends coach in Nick Haley, that the tight end room itself, even though you did little to improve it, given Luke Lacey, who knows what happens with him? He's a 7th round pick. There's a lot of potential there, but there's still a lot of potential in the room. You have Brevin Jordan, who I thought could have really impacted this team last year before he got hurt. Dalton Schultz is still in this room, despite what we feel about Dalton Schultz. If Nick Caley utilizes him the way he's
Hmm.
supposed to utilize him, then Dalton Schultz can be a very serviceable tight end for you until what you hope Cade Stover or Brevin Jordan or hell, even Luke Lacey. He could be a serviceable tight end before maybe one of those guys could take a step for you this year or into the next offseason. And maybe, that's what you would, in a perfect world, you would hope for that. But I think the tight end room, I think uh they got better, but I don't think it's like by a big margin. I just think they got better because the coaching and with Nick Caley being there, I think it's gonna help the room a whole lot.
Yeah, they took 3 steps forward last year, so you're getting one of those steps back, right? So you still
Mhm.
got a ways to go with this tight end group, but you're hoping that with the new with the new OC, this group comes alive. Your running back room, I would say that it took a step forward. It got better with the addition of your fourth round pick, Woody Marks, out of USC, and I think he is the Dare Agumbawale replacement. I think he immediately adds better in the passing game. And then I think he's more of a threat on the ground. And I went back and, watched his Mississippi days. And dude, he was fantastic on the ground. His game against LSU made me realize that, wow, we have to respect the ground game. And that's something that you don't do with Dare, and I think he can find opportunities to be impactful early as day one. However, I do think that his opportunities will be very limited. So maybe 1 to 2 runs and 1 to 2 passing opportunities. But you have Damian Pierce. I know the Texans probably want to give him another opportunity because we still don't know what type of scheme we're going to run. We have Joe Mixon coming off of a 1,000-yard season, double digit touchdowns. I think your RB room got better.
Yeah, man, I'm excited about Woody Marks. I really am. I love the audition from him. I've been wanting a running back for this Houston Texans team. Still felt like they could have done some more at the running back position with this draft, but hey, I'll take what I can. And Woody Marks, all-purpose running back. You pairing him up with Joe Mixon. If as long as Damian Pierce, if they're going back to this gap scheme, if Damian Pierce if Damian Pierce is gonna be like hypothetically, if Damian Pierce is hypothetically better in a gap scheme, then this Texans team has improved in some sort of fashion at the running back position. So Dare, I don't care a lot about Dare.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Thank you for the field goal. Like, I'll always remember
Yeah,
that.
thanks for the full goal and the extra point or whatever, and then like your good game against the Buffalo Bills where he was catching everything, and you know, I, to me, Woody Marks could do exactly what Dare does, except better, younger, and Dare's a really good third down back when it comes to pass protecting. That's the only thing that I don't know Woody Marks can do, but Damian Pierce has been a solid pass protector as well too. So we'll see how that goes. The running back room, I think, did get better. I
Mhm.
don't think it got like incrementally
Significantly better,
better,
yeah.
but yeah, adding Woody Marks helps the group.
And then moving on to the quarterback department, did the Houston Texans get better even though they added a quarterback, Graham Mertz, out of Florida? I mean, I would say no, they didn't get better, but that's not a negative thing because of who you already have. And that CJ Stroud, you got your backup for I think for the next year, and that's Davis Mills. And then you got put your potential backup of the future in Grant Mertz. Other than that, you also have a new offensive coordinator, Renee Cayley, man. So I would say when I look at, as we discussed the 3 phases of the offense. I'm sorry, well, the 4 phases: the quarterback room, wide receiver room, tight end room, and O line room. We said more often than not they got a little bit better. So did the offense get a little bit better, Harley?
Yeah,
Just
but
a
it
little
ain't.
bit.
Yeah, it's just a little bit. And
Yeah.
again, time will tell because we just don't know how great Nick Caley or is going to be for this team. I feel like he's going to be good. I'm hoping he's going to be good. I hope he helps the development of CJ Stroud. He sounded the part in his introductory press conference. And you got a guy that has been in there week in, week out as a positional coach and has worked his way up to being an offensive coordinator. He comes from a Sean McVay system. He knows the Kubiak system as well, too.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping this is the guy for the Texans. And hopefully that leads to CJ Stroud going back to playing more free, more loose, more confident, and throwing with anticipation again, not overthrowing guys, not underthrowing guys. Like CJ had some stuff last year that needed to be fixed. Bobby Slowick wasn't that guy to fix it. We're hoping Nick Caley can be that guy.
We are hoping, and ladies and gentlemen, we are hoping that this Houston Texans offense is just what we thought it was going to be last year, right? One of the best in this league. And dude, I was just thinking about right now how at this point last year we were talking about, oh, how dangerous this offense is going to be. You have a five-headed monster. You're going to have CJ Stroud 40 plus touchdowns. Oh my God, were we humbled by
Yeah.
the 2024 season. So we're being a little bit more conscious this year, ladies and gentlemen. With that being said, we are going to wrap it up. That was Harley. I am Ruben. For more Houston Texans content, you guys come back on Friday. Hopefully, we have some more breaking news for you guys because it always happens when me and Harley are in front of the camera. Do me a favor, have a real blessed rest of your day. We'll see you guys Friday.